You're listening to the Rite Retirement Show.
The 70% of people out there listening to the show today are going to need some level of care. It doesn't necessarily mean that 70% are going to end up in a nursing home, but 70% of people will need some assistance out there. The biggest fear is running out of money for the retiree, but what we see is not enough people spend enough of their money.
Chris prides himself in what matters to you. This is the Rite Retirement Show.
Hello, I'm Louann Fulmar, and you've tuned into the Rite Retirement Show. Sharing wisdom today with us is certified financial planner, financial advisor, Chris Wallace, who is also president at WG Financial Group. And then we've got another wise man in the house, and that's Graham Bauer. He's a certified financial planner, financial advisor, and enrolled agent at the firm. And both are here to help you plan smarter, retire stronger, and play living your best life in retirement. If you have questions, Chris wants to hear from you. Call or text the word visit to 256-937-2010. That's 256-937-2010. Call for a complimentary discovery session. And remember, stay connected. You can just follow WG Financial Group 256 on Facebook for show visuals, Chris's latest retirement updates throughout the week. And don't miss a thing. Catch the Rite Retirement Show anytime, anywhere on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Just search for the name of our show, the Rite Retirement Show. Chris and Graham, so excited to be here with you.
We are just bubbling with joy today to be here with you as well, Louann.
As always.
You guys are so funny. Well, we have a lot to get to. So why don't we just start with what everybody's been watching, and that's a market update. Tell us what's been going on with that.
Yeah, so no real talk this week. Couldn't come up with one that was really worth talking about. So we'll just quickly get into the market. So it's slightly up over the last 5 days. So I think what's happened here, and thank goodness, I think we're almost to the end of the shutdown. But I think the market began to get a little bit concerned about the shutdown continuing and the bickering between parties. So over the last 5 days, the market's up right around 1.18%, so a little bit more than 1%. But one of the things I did want to point out here, I just picked a random money market fund, and over the past 3 years, I compared it to the S&P. So let's just say, for example, 3 years ago, you got panicked and decided to go to cash, and you've left it in cash. And I just wanted to make a point here that long term, if you have a long-term outlook on your investments and you can have a long-term outlook on the market, you're better long-term to stay invested. So put yourself back 3 years ago, just, think about where you were at 3 years ago, maybe the mindset you were in. And let's say you went to cash. Well, in 3 years, that mutual fund, that cash mutual fund is up a total of basically 14.37% over the last 3 years, the one that I used here. And then if I look at the S&P over the last 3 years, the S&P is up 80.42%. So there's a pretty substantial differential between those two numbers. Moving all of your money to cash and letting it sit there for a long period of time is usually not a great idea. Now, of course, everybody's personal risk tolerance is different, but if you're moving in and out of the market based on emotion, then that psychological feeling is making you make those decisions a lot of times can cost you in the long run. So just a little reminder to stay invested, have a plan and stay invested.
It's a good reminder. And, even that's obviously the last 3 years. You could run this back even further of people, that got freaked out in 2020 or got freaked out in that little dip in 2019 or 2008. And I think the crazy thing is people might say oh, well, if you got freaked out in 2008, you definitely got back in at some point. Some people didn't. That's right. And we have seen those people. There have been people that came in that, their story is, I lost my retirement really went down in 2008 and I panicked and I sold and, now we're 17 years later and they still haven't decided it was the right time. So it's a good reminder, and it's definitely something we focus on a lot with clients.
Yeah, it gets even worse if you go out 5 years. Yeah, the total S&P return is 107.5, and I almost said the custodian money market that I used here is only up 16.44 because for several years it basically sat on zero.
Yeah,
it wasn't until the past couple of years did we start seeing money market funds start to return anything. So again, great reminder. Glad I brought it up. Thanks for validating me, Graham. Appreciate it.
Anytime.
Very good. Very good. And now I love that you guys, do a federal minute for federal workers. What do you have for us?
We do. This is actually something that we ran into earlier this morning. And pre-show, we were talking about, well, you know what? We really didn't think about a Fed minute this week. And Graham said we just ran into one. And it's just a reminder that the federal government is not in the life insurance business. They definitely don't do that well. And your life insurance through FEGLI, as you start to age up, will become more and more expensive. So we ran into a situation today where an individual was paying a decent amount of money for, X number of dollars in face amount. We won't go into the very specifics here, but what we found out was that they can actually buy their own term life policy on the outside a lot cheaper. And those savings dollars that you save by reducing your federal insurance and buying your own policy that you can take with you in retirement for the same premium, because it's a level term, ends up saving a few dollars a month that you can put back into the TSP or maybe other areas of your budget. I think right now with as expensive as things are today, I just think it makes sense for families to investigate all areas of their budget to see where they can save some pennies, because things are they're just expensive. And life insurance in this case for the federal worker is an opportunity. Home and auto insurance, we've talked about that on previous shows, requoting that, trying to get your rate down there, looking at your streaming options, because before you know it, you've got 10 different streaming options. And so just really trying to put more dollars back in your pocket. If you just do a little bit of digging and paying attention, you can find some pennies there.
Yeah, you definitely can. And, I think it's good to mention again, the federal government in themselves with the FEGLI program is not in the business of life insurance. They have a contract through a life insurance company. So, the only caveat, and we've talked about this before, and the only, time as you get later on that you might consider holding on to it, and why it's a good idea, honestly, to just talk to somebody and see what you should do there is, if you're someone that has had a lot of health issues, if you're maybe a smoker, somebody who is going to get a really bad health rating if they have to go through underwriting again. At that point, your advantage is going to be that you're not going to have to go through underwriting to keep the coverage you have through your current plan. So again, I think, it's most of the time, you're going to be better off to go look around, see if you can save some money. It's going to be the exact same thing as pretty much as what you have, except you'll lock in a premium for longer. But it's always good to talk to somebody first and just make sure, hey, is this a good idea before I let go of this? Is there a better option on the outside?
Absolutely.
Okay. Love all that. I love the stuff that we do at the beginning of our show. And, guys, I am 66, so I am coming up on full retirement age. Coming up here in May, actually, 66 and 10 months. And that's crazy to me, to think about. Heading into retirement is something kind of scary for me. And so I know, guys, you wanted to talk about just the psychological impacts of retirement. So I thought I'd just kind of start by sharing that with you, how, Bobby and I, my husband and I, are both kind of like, I don't know. It just seems so weird to think about not reporting into work every day,
Are you guys worried about that?
Yes.
Does it bother you?
It does
what life's
bother
going to
me.
be like? Yeah.
Yes. My friends who have already retired, I go, what? Yeah, you're going to love it. You're going to wonder why you never did it. And I'm like, I don't know if I really can. I feel like I may have to just kind of keep a little bit of, what I'm doing continuing. I really do think I'm going to have to just continue to work part-time or something, because it's really hard for me to think about not working.
Personally, for you, Louann, what do you think bothers you the most? Is it, do I have enough money, or is it, I don't know what I'm going to do?
It's not the money thing. I worry about community. Now, I have a lot of friends, I have family, but I worry. I want to engage my mind. I guess it's more so than community. It's the work, I guess. It's my work. I want to keep my mind sharp. There you go. I want to keep my mind sharp.
What about Bobby? Does he ever tell you what really scares him psychologically?
I think it's the same thing that it's purpose too for him. He wants to feel like he's still contributing. He's a Christian pastor, a counselor, I should say. And so I think he will kind of continue to work with some couples as long as the church will let him, maybe trim it down a bit. So that's kind of what we're both thinking, not giving it up completely.
Okay. Well, I think one of the biggest things, you kind of I think you kind of hit on it just a little bit. One of the things I want to talk about is just the identity transition. We've talked about that, a lot of times our jobs are really our identity. For me, it's I own the company.
Yep.
I'm a financial advisor. I do radio, do TV, and it's who I am. It's what I know. It's what I know really well. And honestly, sometimes this is just getting a little bit vulnerable here. Sometimes it's hard to have different conversations because I talk so much about finances and so much about retirement and so much about savings that I find myself in conversations with others and sometimes at home where the conversations go right back into like the financial planning area.
Yeah.
Because my brain is just so wired to talk and think in those terms. And I think the transition identity for a lot of us out there today, with the job being who we are, we go to work, we get the praise and the accolades for the good jobs we do at our places of business.
Yes.
And, we have people that work with us and sometimes for us. And, maybe we build this rocket or this new defense mechanism. And there's a lot of like sense of satisfaction that goes on with that. And then in retirement, it's like, it's gone. That part of it's gone. And I always like to say that, we get that sense of satisfaction in our job, probably not going to get that same level at home. At least I know my wife's not going to be walking around the house all day telling me what a great
praising
employee I have, praising me all day long. I promise you that's not going to happen. My wife is wonderful. She is a 10 on every scale, but she is definitely not walking around going to try to pump up my ego at the house. So that identity transition is hard, I think, for a lot of people.
So.
Any thoughts on that, Graham?
Yeah, I mean, I feel the same way. And, I do so much just talking and interacting with people in my day-to-day life, in my work life, that is, when I, step outside of that and I'm just having conversations with people, I have to like try not to talk about those types of things. The other day I was having a conversation with someone outside of work. And, they mentioned just casually, we weren't even talking about finances, just like, HSA having to empty it out by the end of the year. And it took everything in me not to correct them and say that they have an FSA plan. I was sitting there like, oh, I really want to correct that. I mean, like, no. I'm not this person's advisor. This is just someone I'm friends with.
Oh my God. That's funny.
So anyways, but yeah, we tie up so much identity into our jobs. I mean, one thing I've mentioned before is, a lot of like last names come from different jobs that people had historically. So,
that's
even historically, we've tied up a lot of our identity in the work that we do. And it's good to work. We're certainly not encouraging the people that love working and genuinely don't want to stop for a while. I think it's great if you want to stay active, if you want to keep working. But there's a difference between doing that because of the fear of change and a difference in doing that because you really love it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I think that as we talk about these, like if you're listening to the show and you're a retiree or thinking about retirement, really think about this because one, is this you? Did you struggle with this? Or, if you're not retired, listen to some of these because I think most retirees are gonna have and struggle with some of these that we're going to talk about. And then the next one would be kind of like that loss of routine and structure. And I can remember when my dad retired, the first thing I was thinking, this is years ago, and I remember thinking, well, now you get to sleep in late.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to get up for work because, your life is this routine. It has a structure. And my dad's like, nope, I still get up at the crack of dawn.
Oh, why?
Now, I will say today's time frame, he is able to sleep in longer than he used to. But there was a time when he was up with coffee at like 5:30. I mean, he would be able to catch my TV show on at 5:30 in the morning because he would be up. Not that he watched it because he doesn't live in this area, but just the fact that he was up so early. But now, he doesn't get up quite as early now that he's a little bit older. So
now he's used to the routine and can sleep in a little more. His body,
his
clock is changed.
It's also just, it's easier to plan your life around the rest of your life around work too. There can almost be that blessing and a curse of like having all the time on your hands and saying, last week, last week, my wife, she was between jobs because she had just had her last day at her old job, and she had a week in between starting the new job that she had lined up. And she had all these things planned that she was going to do. And then it got to like Thursday or Friday, and we were talking at dinner, and she was like, man, this week, I feel like it's just gotten away from me. I didn't get around to all these things, and there's this, that, and the other. And I'm like, yeah, I feel like that's kind of what happens. Oh, I have a week free, and it's like, oh, I want to do all these things, but I have so much time to do it that I don't feel the rush to do it. And so it can be almost easier to say, hey, I have work and I get off at 5, or, I work 7 to 4 or whatever. And then we can do that afterwards, where you kind of have to create your whole new schedule. I talked to someone, just the other day, who was talking about how retirement's been for them. And there's some people that were saying they absolutely love retirement. They've been retired for a little while. And as he was laying out what they're doing is very structured still, as far as like activities that are done throughout the week, not necessarily like waking up at the crack of dawn to do these types of things, but to just say, hey, I do this with friends on this day. I do this with people on this day. Maybe we do this as a couple on this day. And I think that structure really helps to kind of try to keep a little bit of that, because it is hard to say, even if it might be fun for a couple of weeks or a month or a year, if you're retired for 20 years, you're probably going to want some level of structure in your life, even if it's not, a job.
Mm-hmm. And I think when we talk about the structure aspect of it and the routine, as you retire, you need to mentally be prepared for that identity crisis. Mm-hmm. You need to start planning your days, like literally, what are you going to do all day?
Right.
Because you think you're going to have all day to do things. And I've heard from a lot of retirees, wow, I'm busier now than I used to be. And I don't understand like how I even worked with all that I do now, watching grandkids and picking up kids from practice and things like that. So just kind of plan for that and start really thinking about that. And I think another area that's difficult psychologically is just the social connections and relationships. So like going back to what I said about work, you're at the water cooler, you're in the meetings, you have a lot of friends from work. And then I kind of think it's like when you leave elementary school or middle school to transition to the next level of grade, and then maybe you switch schools and you lose contact with some of those friends. Mm-hmm. And even after high school, you graduate, and then all of your friends, you all kind of go separate ways. Yeah. And in some ways, I think that's kind of like retirement. Now, I've never retired, and I don't plan to for many, many years, but I can imagine that's maybe how it feels. And if somebody tells you, oh, I know how that feels, unless they've done it, they really don't know how it feels. So I don't know, but I can kind of envision, graduating into retirement, like graduating from high school, and you lose all of your friends that you were friends with.
Right.
So I definitely think it's important when you're in retirement to maintain that social connection, make sure you have those relationships. And I will say, because we do this for a living and we talk to a lot of people, it's hard for males, hard for men, really hard. So hard that I've had one of my actual clients who has started kind of like a men's gathering that he tries to do once per month. And I've attended one of them. I haven't been able to attend all of them, but we kind of just open it up. It's not a WG thing. This is one of my clients doing this to really just get men together to eat, have a meal, and just have conversation and develop some relationships. Because when he came to me about this idea, he told me, he said, my wife's got all of these friends, but I don't have that many friends. And he wasn't alone. There's quite a few men out there. We just tend to be lonelier and kind of, I don't want to say like lonesome, but we're okay just working in the shop by ourselves. Like right now, listening to my show right now, there's a lot of guys working in their shops right now. I guarantee it, listening to the show by themselves. And I just think that social connection and relationships are important. And I would advise any retiree to really focus on that before they exit the workforce, because I think it's hard to build that once you're gone. You have to go to new places, and it's like, I don't feel like going. I'll stay here and chop some wood, or, something like that. So
it's certainly easier to do it, on the front end, and kind of maybe plan some things that you would like to do, some things you'd like to be a part of. And some people truly are, just content kind of being a little bit, having their solitude. And we have people occasionally that are like, I just want to move out into the woods and never see another person ever again after retirement.
Yeah.
It's me and the wolves. But for most people, I do think they want some level of connection. And I think, like the easiest way to do that is certainly through kind of going back into the last one, some type of structure to have in your life. Because I even know in my own life, transitioning from being a kid to being a high schooler, to being a college student, to being in the workforce, even that transition, you go from a lot of structure where you're with a lot of people and around the same stage in life to a time where you're not. And, retirement is kind of the same thing, where a lot of times you're working with people, you have similar interests probably to those people because you work in the same company, and you probably live in the same area and you have things in common with them. And then you retire, and it's kind of the wild west of relationships at that point, just meeting people wherever. So I think it is harder at that point. And the people I've seen succeed the most in building strong communities tend to be the ones that seem to prioritize some level of structure to where they see people, whether that's joining some type of, golf club that they do with friends, or volunteering somewhere, or some people like to organize and go on those like trips that you do with other people that you've never met before, and anything like that, where you can kind of just have low pressure ways to meet new people. Because I do think it's really good for you to stay engaged. And I think it's also good in that respect to keep you from getting maybe too nihilistic about the world. Because I think if you don't interact with enough people, and the only real relationship you have towards a lot of other people is just what you see on the news, what you see on TV, it's probably not going to give you a lot of faith in humanity. And I can't say I always have the most faith every single day in humanity, but when you go and you talk to someone, a real person, have a conversation, get to know them, you're usually going to feel much more optimistic than just hearing about what the 15 worst people in your city did that week. So I think it's important to kind of, help you keep just a better mindset too throughout retirement.
Yeah. And I think as we kind of move through some of these here, developing a sense of purpose. So, kind of going back to our jobs, we've got this identity in our job. It's our purpose. We make money. We're able to buy groceries. We're able to support our kids, our families, wives, husbands. But we need to have purpose when we go into retirement. So what is my new purpose? And one of the families we met with just a little bit ago, actually earlier today, and a federal employee, as a matter of fact, they're going to really get into ministry and things of that nature when they retire. And I think it's really cool to have like this designed out purpose. Like that is going to be their mission when they retire, is just to, lead others to Christ. And, whether that be ministry or maybe it's pickleball, I don't know, but you do have to have some purpose and meaning to really give yourself the ability to get out of bed and say, I'm going to go tackle this today. So I think that's important, is establishing that purpose. And then, in retirement, things are going to change. I can tell you, 52, man, I've gotten I'm a lot different than I was at like 22. 22, you don't really have a care in the world. And as you grow up a little bit and get a few gray hairs on the head, have a few children, they grow up, you watch the world change, some good, some bad. Some days it feels like more bad than good, but just coping with change in retirement can be difficult. The uncertainty just around the new phase of life. And I can tell you at 52, I've thought about, I don't think about this often, but I've thought about dying more than I did at 22. I never thought about it at 22.
Yeah, you do.
When you've got a family and you've got kids and we've got a business and I've got like client family, and so I always think, well, shoot, what if something happens to me? I can't control it anyway to a certain degree. It's really in God's hands, but just when you get into retirement, just being able to cope with the change and cope with some of the uncertainty, and not feel anxious. And, if we kind of tie all this back to retirement in general, just having a plan in place, because all these things that we talked about, the identity transition, the loss of routine, having those social connections, the purpose in retirement, what are you going to do, and meaning, and then coping with the change and uncertainty, that's a lot going on in your retirement. And we didn't say the first thing about income. We didn't say the first thing about
Right.
Medicare,
Mm-hmm.
Social Security, taxes. That's a whole nother animal in and of itself.
Hmm.
And I just think that having a plan and working with a team of people helps. And I know that a lot of our clients, I've had personal conversations with them about this transition. I kind of warn them, like the way that you view your risk tolerance today, if you're worried about the market, just go ahead and 10X it when you get in retirement, because it's going to feel a lot worse in retirement. You're going to feel bored in some cases. You're going to feel like you can't spend money in some cases because you don't have your income anymore. And now you've got all this money and you're like, hey, I'm afraid to spend it. I can't go anywhere because I'm really afraid of running out. So I think having a financial plan, a retirement plan, income plan, tax efficient strategies, I think having those things in place will help you transition through these like 5 phases that we went through, because most everybody is going to deal with 1 to 2 of those. Now, you may have these anomaly people out there that are like, woohoo, I'm in retirement. I'm not struggling with any of this. And great, good for you, because you're one of not very many people that, that are struggling with this. And I do believe whether it's us or some other financial firm, just having that relationship with your another team allows you to just kind of run through these transitions without worrying about your financial plan. And I think it helps.
And Chris and Graham, I do want to go back to what you guys were talking about with the social connections and relationships. I have seen it in my sister, right? My sister and her husband have retired, and they are not in relationships with people. And so I thought, I've got to get my sister in community with her friends, because she was just totally isolated. So I did plan a lunch, and a couple weeks ago had her church friends come over. And honestly, guys, that kind of ignited her in like, oh, I like this. I like being around other people. And even the church friends were like, I see, I need to be reaching out to Patty more. And now she's gone to her, small group and things like that. She's going with me more. So it was kind of a neat thing. Now she is seeing that she needs to do the same for her husband. So she's reached out to another couple, and they just got together over lunch on Sunday. And I was so excited because my brother-in-law, he's like what you were talking about, guys, one of those men that does not have a real big circle of friends. So anyway, I think just everything that you guys said here, very, very important. Psychological impacts to retirement, and honestly, things that Bobby and I are feeling right now. All these things, a little bit of everything here.
It's a lot coming at you. It really is. I mean, it is a total new phase of life. And I've often said that, our lives are in like 3 phases. The first phase is we're young, think we're going to live forever. We meet somebody and everything's blissful. Phase 2, we get married. It's like, oh man, the kids are here. Inflation, things are expensive, college. And then phase 3 is kind of this retirement phase. And it's a different phase of life. There's a lot of things that come at you. Health challenges come at you. I've had, clients tell me that I got to this point and my biggest fear happened, and I came down with, some sort of an illness or some sort of a cancer. And it can be a daunting task, but you can mitigate some of that by just mentally preparing yourself. And I was hoping that the opening segment here today would kind of be a help to some people that may be struggling or are about to go through it. In the second half of the show, we're going to get into longevity. And then there's a documentary we've talked about a little bit before called The Blue Zones. I want to get into that. So if you're listening to the show, you've caught the first half, you can hop out to Apple Podcasts or Spotify, the Rite Retirement Show, RITE. If you want to call in and set up a discovery session with us, you can do that by calling 256-937-2010. Again, the number is 256-937-2010.
Market fluctuations can be unsettling, but a resilient plan can help maintain stability. Discuss how you might fortify your retirement strategy with Chris Wallace. Text VISIT to 256-937-2010 today to begin. Remember, text VISIT to 256-937-2010.
Are you a federal employee feeling pressure from the early retirement offers like VERA, VSIP, or the Deferred Resignation Program? Recent government initiatives have introduced significant changes to federal retirement programs, making employees feel pressured to consider early retirement or face potential layoffs. At WG Financial Group, we help guide federal employees through these uncertain times. Our team understands the complex federal retirement systems and can help you make informed decisions. Call 256-937-2010 to schedule your complimentary discovery session with us today. We'll help you assess your options and create a personalized retirement plan to help you feel more confident. Visit WGFinancialGroup.com or call 256-937-2010 to book your session. Firm is not affiliated with the U.S. government. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor.
If lingering doubts like, have I saved enough? Or will my retirement funds endure? Are on your mind? It's time to consult with Chris Wallace. Text VISIT to 256-937-2010. That's 256-937-2010 to book your appointment and get the answers you need.
And thank you so much for joining us today. We are so happy to have you along. I'm Louann Fulmar here with Chris Wallace, Graham Bauer, both of WG Financial Group, and you can check us out at wgfinancialgroup.com. Also, I want to mention this show is available on podcast. So just search for our show on Spotify and Apple. So just search for the name of our show, okay? The Rite Retirement Show. All right. So now, speaking of, you're getting into retirement and there's a lot of things you have to adjust to. And then, of course, we want to live as long as we can. We want to be healthy and live a long time. So I'm excited we're going to be talking about just the fact that, we need to see what we can do that could impact our longevity. Chris, I think the average male living to 78, something like that?
From birth.
To 78. And then
that's the average life expectancy.
Okay. And then if you live that long, then those mortality tables shift, right?
They do.
Yeah,
they do.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think if I had a dollar, Graham, maybe not $1, maybe $5, I might be able to retire today. If I had $5 for every time I've heard this, my dad passed away at an early age. My uncle passed away. My mom passed away early. I've heard that countless times from individuals. And I'm pretty sure you've heard the same thing.
Yeah, I've heard it a lot, and it's not totally irrelevant to your health situation, but I always throw out the anecdote, my grandparents, my dad's side, my grandpa, neither of his parents made it to like 50, I don't think. And, he almost was pushing 90. So,
wow.
There's a lot that goes into that. Modern medicine, not smoking, those types of things. But yes, I have heard that plenty of times.
And I've also seen it tossed around, especially on social media. Oh, you're going to retire at 65 and you're going to live a whopping 13 years to age 78. That's the average. And a lot of times I'll comment, I have to get
on your soapbox.
The advisor comes out of me and says, you're wrong. Actually, you're absolutely wrong. I mean, you're wrong and right. You're right in the fact that you're using the average age of death, but you're using a newborn baby girl, baby boy. But when you get to age 65, the life expectancy for a female is around another 20 years. And the same thing for a male, it's right around 18 years. So yeah, I get it. It's only 5 years longer than 78 for a male, but it is longer nonetheless. And we're seeing people, just live a longer lifespan than what we used to. And I think a lot of it has more to do with lifestyle than it does genetics. But I think it's ingrained in us that, our parents passed early, so we're going to pass early. But there's a lot more available information today that we have at our fingertips, and also medical technology, and that really help us. I don't want to say extend our lives a long time, but definitely can help us, live longer. And one of those is just eating a healthy diet and healthy nutrition. And studies kind of highlight that a diet rich in fruits and vegetables and whole grains and lean proteins, all of which I don't eat. So I'm probably like...
You eat a lot of it, surely.
I might be out of here next week at this rate if I told you what I had in the last few days.
Oh, no.
Basically the Mediterranean diet is linked to a longer life expectancy. So nutrition, it really is the cornerstone to longevity, according to a lot of research that's out there today. Now, why did I say that? I'm a red meat kind of guy. I love I love steak. I love hamburgers. And I don't really like vegetables.
Oh, no.
I just got to be honest.
Yeah. It's, I mean, I don't fully believe anyone that says that they do. I feel like
I love salad. I love my salads.
Stop it, Louann.
Okay.
We're going to have Bobby
veggies.
counsel you.
I've had good salads, but the good salads usually have a honey mustard dressing and some kind of, chicken and maybe bacon and croutons.
Yeah.
No, that's a salad, brother.
Yeah. I like my salads when they get to the point that I'm offsetting all the nutritional value of the lettuce.
You're eating all the bad on it. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I agree with you there. It's, and you always want to find a balance, but it's tough to live a clean lifestyle. And I think, in retirement, it might be a little easier in some regards because you don't have to, worry about forgetting to pack your lunch at work and only having, an hour or 30 minutes and being like, shoot, I just got to run through the drive-through real quick or anything like that. You have a little bit more time to cook, but it's hard nonetheless.
My idea of balance is a Diet Coke and a Snickers.
Oh my gosh.
That's a great balance. Which, by the way, I do love dark chocolate.
Yeah,
supposedly
you like
healthy.
Dark. Yeah, that's healthy.
Yeah. Well, I've had people, that's exactly what people say. Well, that's the healthy kind. It's like, not the way I eat it. Like when you eat the whole bar, that's not healthy.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be like a square.
Yeah. Right.
I'm eating like the whole bar.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So nutrition is a cornerstone there for sure. Yeah. Then they talk about physical activity and exercise. And they basically show that a lot of research says the regular physical activity actually boosts longevity. And even moderate exercise like walking or gardening, can add years.
It doesn't have to be going to the gym and doing a huge workout and
right. Although I think it's good. I think, building muscle, I didn't really include that in the show notes here.
True.
But building muscle is really good, especially for men and women to build muscle long term. But really that physical activity. Now, I don't really exercise for longevity. I exercise to offset the steak and the other things that I like to eat, the chocolate. Yes. No, I do exercise. It's just kind of been a habit of mine for years. So I do get in the gym. I would say at bare minimum, I'm in there 4 days a week at bare minimum.
What?
A lot of times
You're better than
six days. Yeah. And I'm usually lifting. Like I was in there today and I was stretching and I had my head down. And somebody taps me on my head. And I can't stand to be tapped on my head.
Oh my gosh.
And I look up and it's my son.
Oh.
And I was like, hey, what's up? He's like, hey, I'm going to do legs. I'm like, oh, let's do it. Let's go. Let's get after it. So I do like to get in there. But for me, it is honestly, I think I've seen my dad do it for so long and stay active in the gym.
Oh.
And I just know that there's good benefits for exercise, longevity wise, health wise. And then also trying to keep muscle tone as we age. It's so easy to lose muscle. So trying to focus on protein intake and just staying in there and lifting weights is just kind of a thing for me. But there's a lot of research behind it that it improves longevity.
Very, very good. Yeah, totally agree with that.
Yeah. Another area, Louann, that we just talked about actually in the previous segment was social connections. Well, tied to longevity, believe it or not, are social engagements in a relationship. So those that tend to be by themselves and don't spend time with others, it does have an impact on your longevity. And having those strong social connections really is research backed. And people who maintain friendships, family ties, community involvement, they just tend to live longer. And guess what? They tend to have better mental health. And you pointed out something, Graham, earlier about, maybe you're reading something online versus talking to a human. I mean, let's face it. And whether you want to believe this or not, we were designed to be in community by our creator. Yeah. And I think the more that we can do that with other people and just be in that community, man, I think it really helps. I really, really do. And the research is starting to prove that. I would go as far as saying that being social and being in relationships, I don't know how much, but I think it's a significant factor. Probably more so than your genetics. If you're doing your healthy, diet, keeping your height and weight good. Well, you can't really do anything about your height. You tend to shrink anyway as you get older.
Right.
All right. So let's move on to another one that is impactful to longevity, and that's your stress management. And I think when stress management, mental health, and I think one of those can really tie back to having a financial plan because I think people tend to stress about their money. And rightfully so. Again, I can't tell you, oh, I know what it feels like, because I don't. I haven't gone into retirement. I haven't stopped working, and I don't, I still have a paycheck. But I can tell you that having a plan, a financial plan, retirement plan built out so that you don't have to worry as much about that can really help from the stress management standpoint. I also think that politics, Graham, we sit in a lot of meetings per day, and we hear a lot of things. Just politically speaking, I think there's a lot of stress in that. Would you say?
Yeah, I mean, I feel it sometimes too. I think if you get too immersed in anything that is kind of contentious and a bit divisive at times, it's easy to fall into that. So yeah, you definitely see some people that kind of becomes their whole life, worrying about, this, that, or the other. And I mean, quite honestly, the people that seem the happiest are usually the people who are, they might still follow. It's not a bad thing to be informed about what's going on, but they don't make it their whole life. They don't let it, ruin parts of their day-to-day life or make them, live in total fear or frustration.
It's easier said than done, but you should not worry about it. Like, biblically speaking, the Bible says have faith. Well, guess what? That's really hard to do. It's really hard to turn things over and not worry about them. That part of it I do understand. But I think the more you can do to help manage that stress, and I believe, like, if you're just involved in community and relationships with others, and you just have good conversation with, like-minded people who are level-headed, I think it can help you just feel better. I feel like when we're meeting with people and we kind of express our view on things, I feel like the tendency is I just feel the air, the air in the balloon kind of let out a little bit. It doesn't seem like there's so much tension there when I'm having conversation with people, because I try to talk level-headed kind of stuff. But managing that stress and your health or mental health in retirement is huge as well. And then lastly, the last one I'll touch on here is just having access to healthcare and preventative care. So I, earlier in the year, had a major physical done. There's a lot of places now where you can go and have full body MRIs. You can have DEXA scans done to check your bone density. You can have CT scans done, just kind of look at your head, lungs, all that good stuff. There's a lot of stuff out there from a preventative standpoint today that really wasn't around years and years ago. And you don't even really have to go to a doctor to have this done. There's naturopathic places you can go now and have these things done. And it's a little bit of out of pocket, of course, but that's what your HSA is for, right? HSA, there we go. So I think there's a lot of things we can do there from a preventative standpoint. And just to talk a little bit further about that, what I had done. So there's good and bad doing what I had done. The good is you kind of know what's going on with your body. You have a bunch of blood work done. You've got a lot of your body scanned and looked at. The bad is you're going to see stuff that's not a problem, but it's there. And the doctor's going to tell you about it. And then you're going to be like, well, where'd that nodule come from? Why is that nodule there? And the truth is, most of us walking around today have little things in our body, little nodules. Maybe they're on an organ, and maybe one's in your lung or something like that. That's really not a big deal. You do need to kind of pay attention to it and just watch it over time. But that's the downside of having this done. The good side is like, oh yeah, I know what's going on and I'm healthy and everything seems great. The bad side is you're going to see some stuff in there you really just wish you wouldn't have seen. But I still would encourage people. I would say even at my son's age in their 20s, they should be getting like regular physicals done. I think when you get in your 30s and 40s, it's probably not a bad idea to have maybe one of these deeper screenings done so that you know how things are trending. You can have your heart looked at in detail. And so I had what's called a clearly heart scan done. So it's supposed to be one of the top of the lines to take a look at the heart. And you're not really going to get this at your local hospital. You're going to have to go have this done. And it did make me feel better to know the old ticker is running. And I had the brain scan done. So the brain scan was done and no sign of brain shrinkage or Alzheimer's. And so all of that was good. But that was probably the most nervous. I was probably most nervous about waiting to get that result. Not necessarily for my heart, playing sports a lot of my life and being active. I didn't think anything was wrong there. But the brain, I was like, was my brain shrinking, or do I have, signs of early Alzheimer's or dementia, and I didn't, which is great.
Okay.
So again, access to healthcare, preventative care can help you live longer. I think the wealthier you are and the better insurance you have and the better preventative care you take of yourself, I think it could definitely help you kind of extend out life.
Yeah, I think that's super important to remember. And you kind of mentioned it, but I mean, at the very least, just get your physical.
Get your physical.
Yeah.
Yes.
Get your blood work done. And just, even if it's just the simplest things, but I think people would be surprised. It's similar to, like if you think about, hear the statistics on how many people don't have their legal documents at all, just their basic wills. And people that have it might be like, oh, well, that's probably not that common. I mean, it's easy to just go get it. People do it.
Yeah.
And statistics would say that they really don't as much as they should. Same thing would go for, these type of health exams. It's like, oh, yeah, that's easy. You just have your PCP. They ask you what you're doing on Tuesday, 9 a.m. a year from now. And you're like, probably nothing. Yeah. And they do it. But there's a lot of people that don't. So it's really important, even just doing the smaller things can make a big impact on making sure that, there's not things that just sneak up on you that really could have been prevented. And because, your physical health will affect your financial health too. If you can keep some of those healthcare expenses down, if you catch things early, you avoid letting things fester and become, major expenses, major health issues.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good stuff there. So that's kind of some things on longevity that I think may help some people to think about. You can impact that. And I actually got a message the other day from somebody who was diagnosed with, a little bit of an issue, and they've started to exercise again. And I was really happy that they said that because I think at the very least we should be out walking for sure.
Yeah, you got to move.
You do. You got to move.
To move. Yeah,
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I sit a lot. So for me,
think of that.
Even when I'm doing like filling out stuff for my, body composition or whatever, I'm trying to maybe figure my proteins and carbs and fats and all that. I still put myself as sedentary, even though I work out like I do anywhere from 4 to 6 days a week. I still think I'm sedentary because I sit so long and I'm in meetings. And a lot of times I'll eat lunch standing up with the team at the office just because sometimes it's just easier for me to stand. So.
Yeah.
All right. So we got about 10-ish minutes left in the show. And I want to we've mentioned this before. I think, Graham, you've seen the documentary Blue Zones.
As have I. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah, I've seen it.
Great.
It's been a little bit.
Bobby and I too.
Okay, great. So we've all three seen it.
Yeah.
Jennifer, if she were sitting here today, would tell you that I saw parts of it because I have a button on my rear end. And when I sit on the couch, it presses that button and it makes me fall asleep. So Jennifer will tell you.
And then boom, you fall asleep. Yeah.
I sit down and I fall asleep. So I've seen most of it. Mm-hmm. Again, debatable how much I've really seen. But basically, it's a documentary where they went around to different parts of the world and that have longer lifespans. And they kind of dug around and tried to find out what these blue zones were doing to live longer. So I've kind of got some bullets here. Graham, you said it's been a while since you've seen it, more than a year, maybe.
Yeah, it was. It was for a class, so it's been a little while now. I forget when did the documentary come out?
23. 2023.
Oh, okay. Maybe I didn't see the document. There was a book too. Then.
Oh, okay.
I know I'd either read something, but anyways, I'm familiar with the concept. Maybe I haven't seen the documentary.
Gotcha. So, Louann, what'd you think of it when you watched it?
We loved it. It was life-changing, you know, and you're like, so it was Okinawa, Japan, Sardinia, Italy, Nicoya Peninsula, Costa Rica, and then Greece, Ikaria, Greece, and then in California, believe it or not, Loma Linda. Yeah.
Right.
So life.
Did you stop smoking when you watched that?
I did.
I put my cigarette down halfway through it.
No more.
I should probably put this out. Yeah. That's how I feel sometimes. Like, just gouging on some goldfish or something while watching NFL players play at the highest level of competition. It's like,
for clarification, not actual goldfish.
The crackers or sun chips or something like that. Some nachos.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, all right. So what do they find here? So I've got some bullet points here.
Yeah.
These are kind of I've got like 7 bullet points. They pretty much had a plant slanted diet. Mm-hmm. So they ate a lot of salads, like we were talking about earlier. We were talking about the nutrition. And here was a documentary. Yes. Yeah. So plants, beans, whole grains, vegetables, nuts. Again, leaning towards that Mediterranean diet that we all love to hate. It sounds good in theory, and it's like, oh man, I'm going to start eating good. And you do that for like 3 days, and next thing you do is like, I want pizza.
You're like, I want pizza. I need a steak or a cheeseburger. Exactly.
Yes, exactly. So they were eating mostly plant-driven diets, getting the proteins and stuff and nutrition from mostly plants. The other thing that they found is that they all had natural movement, and instead of like what they would call like structured exercise, they, did things like gardening or they walked a lot and they were doing something. They were staying active so that they didn't feel like they had to go to the gym. And so they had a lot of natural movement. And I think that's hard today, Louann. I don't know how you feel about this. I'm not a big TV watcher until the NFL starts up. I'm a big NFL football watcher. And I'll watch some college as well. But the bottom line is I'll be on the couch watching football on a Sunday. And I just think that there are people out there that TV is so riveting and so in our face, and our computers are in our face. You can easily sit down and 2 hours later go, wow, where did that 2 hours go?
I just wasted my day. Yeah.
Yeah. Like thumbing through Facebook reels, like I've done before.
I love those. Yeah.
Yeah. They're so great. So that takes away that natural movement because we're sedentary and sitting on the couch.
What I found interesting was when they were in Italy, it was those people that were just cooking all day. The ladies were all in the kitchen and they were just making pasta and doing all that. And that was really their movement, I mean, they're eating pasta, but they were on their feet all day,
Have you been to Italy before?
No.
Graham, have you?
One day. I spent one day in Italy.
Did you eat some pizza while you were over there?
Yeah. Did eat some pizza. Yeah, it was good.
It was different. Did you feel different when you ate it?
I did. I mean, I think about the other week I had a smash burger and I felt like I was dying that night. Just my body does not do well with that, but sometimes I just power through it. And I ate a lot of stuff that probably would have made me feel horrible here while I was over just in a few different places in Europe. And I know, but I felt fine after eating the pizza over there. I had a one with some meat on it too. It wasn't like meat lovers like it is here. But even still, it didn't affect me.
Yeah, I didn't feel all bloated when I was eating the pizza over there. No. I was over there for, I don't know, like 12 days. And I think I literally had pizza 11 of the 12 days.
Oh my gosh.
I love it. It's my favorite food.
Yeah.
And I did not feel all bloated. So natural movement was one. Social strong networks. Hello. We just talked about that.
Yep.
Is part of the keys to living a long life. People in the blue zones maintain strong family ties and supportive communities. And that leads to, as we talked about, good mental health. And that's what the documentary found is them having those strong networks. They also have a sense of purpose. So they had a clear sense of purpose. They know exactly when they're going to wake up, and they know exactly what they were going to do for the day. And, again, some of these we've just talked about, and then it just so happens that these are actual things that they found in the documentary as well. And, again, all this ties to retirement because we want to try our best to take care of our bodies so that when we get to retirement, that we can literally try to live the life that we've always dreamed of for as long as we can, because we do know at a certain point, our bodies are going to start to break down. They're going to deteriorate. We're just going to get older, and we're not really going to want to move around as much. And so I just think that's important as we talk through these, that, kind of how do these tie to me in retirement? Again, this has nothing to do with like the financial planning aspect, but there's the life planning aspect of your life and retirement that's important. One of the other things that they found is stress reduction and just slowing down. People in the blue zones had the ability or had routines to really kind of shut off and eliminate stress. And they may take a daily nap. That sounds great right now. They may pray. They may have a social hour. All those things, reduce stress, lower inflammation. So they had a great, routine for that in the different blue zones. This is a good one, actually. I'm laughing as I'm about to read it because I just failed miserably, like big fat F for this one. Moderate mindful eating. Mine is like moderate mouthful eating.
Dude.
That's what I would be.
Till you're stuffed.
Yeah, like to the gills. And so people in these regions, what they found was they tend to eat until they're about 80% full. Now, I do think growing up, I'll kind of go back to growing up as a kid, and it's you better be in the CPC in my house, the Clean Plate Club.
Oh.
That's how I was taught. You better,
Yeah.
there's starving people
Clean
in other
your
countries. You gotta be in the CPC club, the Clean Plate Club. You got to clean your plate. Well, it's not actually the way we should be doing it. Now, you didn't really have to tell me to clean my plate unless there were vegetables on the plate. Then I wouldn't eat it. But the people in the blue zones, they just eat more moderately. And now, if you pay any attention to any type of dietary stuff online, there's a lot of like fasting that goes on. And guess what? You're fine. If you look at things back in the biblical days, guess what? They were fasting for, different reasons, not necessarily health. But our, ancestors, they didn't have a whole large pizza to nibble on. They didn't have smash burgers, which was ground beef, Graham, not plant-based, right?
Yeah. Well, no.
Of course.
It was real.
Yes.
It was
the real stuff.
The real stuff.
The real
okay.
deal. Still mooing.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
No.
That
It was well cooked. It was
good.
Good. So basically calorie moderation, is what they found. And I think that, would help today. And then they also, just from a drinking alcohol perspective, it was just alcohol in moderation. So like maybe a glass of wine with some friends, or just some, social bonding, things of that nature. So they didn't drink a lot. And some of these things, like if you just listen to the show, like, oh, that's common sense. Well, it is, but how much of that do we really do? And it's just so easy, I think, today in the United States, and the access that we have to just drinks, just go to the, local, drive-through restaurant and pick up some food to go. And, you tell them you want a large Coke or something, or a large Diet Coke. And next thing you know, you got a 55-gallon drum they're trying to hand you through your car window, and that's your drink.
Yeah.
But that's the type of society we live in. And so it is hard to moderate some of that. It's hard to moderate TV watching because everything is available online these days. It's hard to moderate diets because we have so much availability to really good food. And I believe they put stuff in the food to make us crave it. I really honestly do.
I do too. I believe that.
Because I wish they would put something in fish like salmon, which is a great fish to eat. They need to dress up that salmon, so I want to eat
Get
more
some
of it.
MSG in there.
Yeah, do something.
guys.
I don't know. So anyway, all this, I hope this show's been really interesting. I just thought it'd be really cool to do a psychological show on retirement, talk about the psychology impact. We talked about behavioral biases last week, and then also talk about longevity, because I think at the end of the day, what we're going to have is all of us, for the most part, barring a disease or something like that, are going to live a longer than average life expectancy, especially if we take care of ourselves. And so I kind of wanted to touch on some of these things that the retiree may be feeling as they get ready to retire. Some of that we can kind of help with from I'm using my quotations here, a counseling perspective. I'm not a licensed counselor, but kind of talk you through things as a team member. But also we build out the financial plan and do that side of it so that you can focus on eating a more plant-based diet, naturally moving around and being a part of these social networks and trying to reduce your stress and moderate your eating. You'll never hear me tell you that because I can't do it myself. But, as far as financial planning, that's what we're here for. So if you would like to come in, set up a discovery session with myself or one of my team members, you can do that. We love the opportunity to talk with you and build out a plan that will really help you realize your dreams. You can do that by calling 256-937-2010. Again, the number is 256-937-2010. I hope everybody has an awesome and blessed week. And remember to serve every person in every situation.
Graham Bauer holds the enrolled agent designation, but is not currently offering tax preparation services. Neither the firm nor its agents may give tax advice. Individuals should consult with a qualified professional for guidance before making any purchasing decisions.
Investment advisory services made available through AE Wealth Management LLC, AEWM. AEWM and WG Financial Group are not affiliated companies. Insurance products are offered through the insurance business WG Insurance Services. WG Financial Group is an investment advisory practice that offers products and services through AE Wealth Management LLC, AEWM, a registered investment advisor. AEWM does not offer insurance products. The insurance products offered by WG Insurance Services are not subject to investment advisory requirements. AEWM and WG Financial Group are not affiliated companies. companies. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This radio show is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. WG Financial is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during this show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. Information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by WG Financial. This radio show is a paid placement.